Hi. So, my tip for today, when you're mastering difficult conversations, just remember that the other person is not a difficult person. Indeed, they may be thinking that you're a difficult person, and you're thinking, well, I'm not a difficult person. But in the point of conjecture and disagreement, indeed, you're both difficult. So, the surmise is it's a difficult situation. Now, obviously, lots of personality traits, situational traits, previous experiences with this person, feelings and emotions and practicalities, everything comes into that moment. But how can you step back and, as a woman in a male environment, how can you manage coming out with a statement that will be heard by men? Now, obviously, there are tips for men when you're involved with a lot of women in the workplace, and so the rule will apply to you too. The first thing is to recognize that there's a different hard drive to the way men operate and the way women operate. This is one of my theories about what has changed in the last 3 decades. We're now on a playing field which looks remarkably as if it's the same for both of us. We're all very digital, we're technical, we're in the fast-paced rat race, if you like, of business and life. But when you're in that situation, the key is to value differences. The topic is the topic, but your personality and your decision about that topic may be getting in your way. So the hard drive for men is very straightforward. It's one step at a time. It's either or. It's looking for a solution, not too much conversation, get to the point. And a woman's hard drive is about flexibility and mobility and circular motion. So if in fact the man is coming into the conversation with a very straightforward bullet point approach, and you as a woman try to talk him round with a deal of emotions, it's not going to work. So the hard drive that you're working on as a woman means that you're multi-talented, multifaceted, yes, and you've got lots of ideas. And on occasion, you're asking questions which sound like questions to men and they're looking for a solution, but actually you're not really wanting a solution. So be very sure as you go towards that difficult conversation, if you have a space and a time to think about it, recognize the two hard drives, a bit like the man's working a PC and you're working a Mac. The programming is different, even though the output may look the same. We're using the same words. So for women, in a difficult situation, examine the facts. Men are more likely to respond to facts than to emotions. Try and keep your emotions within you and have an objective view about the situation. Come from your experience, value the different parties involved, ask permission to say what it is you want to say if you think it's going to be diametrically opposed to what the other person is coming at. Now, it might be that you're having this difficult conversation as a woman to woman, or even man to man, but the same thing holds true. When difficulties arise, there's a degree of frustration or anger or some very fear-based emotion. So go back to the facts, be objective, ask for permission, make sure you value what you've put in and what they've put in, and where there seems to be a block, ask permission to look at the block and suggest that what you're aiming for is a win-win. What you're trying to do is to create the right environment to go forward with the conversation to a positive outcome. That's the thing that is going to help you to raise your confidence. But do remember that men and women do come from a different hard drive. And that as a woman, if we're working in an entirely male environment, they're working on their computer-based hard drive. Where there's a mixed environment, there may be different types of women around, and that's causing friction as well. Be the person in the room who recognizes of the parties involved, what are the core differences? Who's introvert, who's extrovert, who's detail focused, who's big picture, who's a person who listens a lot, who's a person who talks a lot? Of course, there's a lot more to this, but start by taking a stance on your value and how you add it to the other person's value. And then you can dissolve the block, and that potentially will take you away from a difficult conversation. For now, be in the right space before you even start, and make sure that you establish your own value to yourself, and that you don't let yourself get walked over and you don't get angry. For now, just try it.